Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, guys. So I am Charmaine Thomas, and I wanted to just introduce some things that I do. Um, I saw that YouTube was offering, a way for us to create a course and things of that nature. And I do have courses on um, teachable. However, these are things that, I think people should be in the know of in regards to taxes and credit and all that good stuff. Ways that you can make additional income, just different things. So I just wanted to start off with that. And then, of course, today, what I am doing is I'm giving out some basic fundamentals of tax preparation and how you can actually build your own firm if that is your goal, or if you just like to know some of the basics with tax preparation, how to, you know, um, save yourself some money on deductions, itemizing, different things like that, knowing what the standard deductions are and stuff like that. If you're in business, the different entities and structures and how you've set up your business and how that pertains to you in a tax sense. And so that is my goal. And of course, it is an honor to be able to speak with and educate some others on some of the things that I've learned along the way. I've been in the business now since 2009. I own Thomas Unlimited Services, where we offer tax preparation training, tax planning, business credit, personal credit, um, business funding, and different things of that nature. When I started in 2009, um, I knew just a little bit about taxes, but not much. But as I've grown over the years, growing my business, learning each and every year, there's always something new to learn in the tax industry. So again, this is not just for people that would like to start their own tax firm, but again, people that just want to learn some basic knowledge that could, again, possibly help them along the way. All righty. So bear with me just a moment. Let me see if I can get my screen shared here for you guys. All righty. So this is a course that I actually have set up on Teachable. Um, Again, it is the basic fundamentals of tax preparation, how to build your own firm. In this course, I do go into the world of preparing tax returns, building your own tax prep business. Whether you are a beginner or have some experience in the field, the course will provide you with the knowledge and skills that you need to confidently prepare simple tax returns as well as Schedule C. Um, We'll start by exploring some of the basics. You'll learn about some of the different forms and schedules used in tax filing. We'll walk through a step-by-step process of preparing a simple tax return as well. And that will be presented in some other videos. I don't want to do like these long, drawn-out videos to where it's just boring. So I want to make sure that we kind of do it in bits and pieces. And then, some of the newer tax laws, what's going on now, the proposed things that'll be happening for 2025 and some of the differences, that'll be taking place in 2025 as well. So again, I just want to help and educate people um, to you know, help you gain a better knowledge of your taxes. All right. So we'll also cover some important topics such as the filing statuses, deductions, credits, ensuring that you have a solid understanding of the key concepts needed to accurately prepare your tax return or maybe someone else's. So in addition to that, I do go into the world of business entities. You'll learn about the different types of business entities, such as sole proprietorships, partnerships, and corporations, LLCs, the differences in those. And again, how that pertains to you in a tax world. We'll discuss the advantages and disadvantages of each type and guide you through the process of selecting the most suitable entity for you or your clients' business. Okay. All righty. So now that we have gotten our introductions out of the way, what I will start with is the actual business entities and, some of their meanings. I'm not going to read it all, but I will just give you all a brief synopsis. So sole proprietor, that's a business owned by an individual and will be regarded as sole proprietorship. When entrepreneurs include their first and last name in the business name, for example, Charmaine Thomas Career Coaching, they don't have to register their name with the state. If you choose to use a fictitious name, such as Unique Career Coaching, then you'll likely need to file a fictitious name registration form with the state where you wish to operate your business. All righty. Sole proprietor. Continued. A business run as a sole proprietorship does not have any legal separation between the company and the business owner. Okay. And I like to stress that when I'm doing, preparing clients' taxes, because they think that they have to file a separate business return. If you are set up as a sole proprietor or an LLC, you are still being taxed as an individual. There is no separate relationship. Okay. You're being taxed as an individual, not as a business. Now, you will file it on a Schedule C form, which we'll discuss in a different realm. But you're not having to file a separate business return versus your personal due to the fact that there's no legal separation between the company and the business owner. You are considered the same legal entity, and therefore the business owner is personally responsible for all debts, legal obligations of the business. Okay. Um, in a sole proprietorship, the owner and the business are considered the same tax paying entity. Is pretty much what I just said. All right. So, LLC, a limited liability company. Articles of organization are required by the state when you form an LLC. In some states, the articles can be simple to complete, but you want to ensure that the documents are completed properly due to the fact your business name is registered with the state. A single member LLC. When a business is formed as a single member LLC, the company becomes its own legal entity. Okay. That means its owner is typically not held responsible for debts or if legal action is taken against the business. However, that LLC owner might be held accountable if that individual is found to have ignored compliance rules or willfully engaged in wrongful business activities. Now, by default, a single member LLC is considered a disregarded entity. Therefore, as with a sole proprietorship, business tax obligations flow through to the LLC owner. Okay. So let me stop right there. So if you have an LLC, okay, you're still being taxed as an individual unless you have elected for corporate tax treatment. Okay. That means it meets all eligibility requirements, and you can choose to be taxed as either a C corporation or an S corporation. These options can help business owners minimize their self-employment tax burden because only the owner's wages or salary are subject to self-employment tax. With C Corp tax treatment, business income gets taxed at the corporate tax rate and the business files a separate income tax return. I want to reiterate because a lot of people get this confused. So even if you have formed an LLC in your state, okay, unless you have completed the proper documentation with the IRS to be classified, and you would like that LLC to be classified as a C corporation or an S corporation is the only way that you would be able to file your LLC business as a separate entity. Okay. Now, if you have not done the paperwork to be an S corp tax classification, again, even with the LLC, you'll be filing it as your personal tax return, and your business information will be put on a Schedule C. Okay. All right. The S Corp, the benefits of an S Corp can vary. Again, an S Corp is a tax classification, it's not an entity. Okay. So an S corporation provides limited liability protection, but also offers corporations with 100 shareholders or fewer to be taxed as a partnership. Now, an S corporation is also known as an S subchapter. In some instances, a business may be both an LLC and an S corporation. You can form an LLC and again, choose to be taxed as an S corp, but your business can also operate under the default taxation system for LLCs. So, the business structure that you choose can significantly impact some important issues in your business life. These issues include exposure to liability and at what rate and manner you and your business are taxed. It can also impact your financing, your ability to grow the business, the number of shareholders the business has, and the general manner in which the business is operated. So, that's some of your information in regards to the differences in a sole proprietor, LLC, S corporation, C corporation. Okay. Now, so now that we have discussed the business entities, for my business owners, people that you're doing hair, um, or you're doing something you on the side, right? Or you have formed an LLC, sole proprietorship, whatever the case may be. Again, based on how you're set up, would determine whether it would be on a Schedule C or if you would need to file a separate return. So a Schedule C is a vital part of tax prep for business owners. It is where taxpayers claim any profit or loss made by their business. Now, you don't want to go into a business and every single year that you file your taxes, you're not making any money. Eventually, the IRS will look at that as a hobby and not a business. Okay. So if you're, running a profitable business throughout the year and you're not paying your taxes quarterly or, things of that nature, or have a W-2 or something to offset some of your tax liability, is the reason why you may end up owing, the IRS at the end. Again, you don't want to be a company that's filing hair as a side business for 10 years, and every year you've written off every piece of income. That's no longer considered a business. It's a hobby, okay? And it's not something that you would need to put on your taxes, because eventually it will send up that red flag to the IRS, and you don't want to push the red flag, okay? All right. So, a Schedule C, it is where taxpayers claim any profit or loss made by their business. And in order to file an accurate return, it is important to include all income earned, as well as any business deductions that apply. Okay. So, firstly, it is crucial to report all income earned from the business on the Schedule C. This includes any payments received from sales, services rendered, or any other business related activities. So, it is important to keep books, throughout the year. I can't stress this enough to a lot of my tax clients, because when we get to the end and you bring me a shoebox, okay, of receipts and this and that and all this stuff, that's a lot of work. Okay. So as business owners, if we're going to be in business, then we have to start acting as a business and start, keeping track of our sales and keeping track of the monies that's coming in and out of the business, so that when it is time to file taxes, you're able to file an accurate tax return, right? So it is very important that we keep track of these things. It is very important to keep those thorough records of all sources. as failure to report any income can result in penalties and legal complications. Well, Charmaine, what do you mean? Ooh, I'm glad you asked. So we have Cash App, right? And we have Zelle and all these different third-party apps, right? And you have set them up as a business account. Okay. That business account through Cash App and all these other good people, Zelle or whatever, any monies that come into those accounts will be reported to the IRS. Why? Because you have it set as a business account. Okay. And then those monies will be reported on a 1099K. Now, if you do not report that portion of your income to the IRS, you might slip through the cracks. You may not slip through the cracks, but 99.9% of the time, you won't slip through the cracks because that 1099K has been reported under your social security number. Okay. And you're going to get an IRS notification letter, something stating, hey, you underreported your taxes. You owe us this amount of money. You don't want that to happen. Okay. So if you have a Cash App set up with your business info and you do not want the IRS to be up in your business, I would suggest to go ahead and open up a personal Cash App and leave that off of your business. Okay. Again, that's a way for them to say that you've underreported if you have not reported the income from the 1099K. Okay. And again, you don't want that. So you want to make sure that you're reporting all of your income accurately. You can ensure compliance with the tax laws and avoid any potential issues with the IRS. I promise you, I don't want smoke with the IRS on any day. Okay? None whatsoever. All right. So, in addition to income, taxpayers must also include any business deductions on the Schedule C. Business deductions are expenses that can be subtracted from the total income, reducing the taxable profit. These deductions can include a wide range of business related expenses such as office supplies, rent, utilities, advertising costs, and even mileage for business related travel. Now, I'm going to say this and I have to stop right here only because I think a lot of people may confuse these. Okay, so rent. Say that you are using your house or a portion of your house, room, or whatever for an office or for a business. Okay, you cannot go on your tax return and say, "Oh, I pay $1,000 in rent," and then you put $12,000 for the whole year. That is not accurate at all. Okay, you're going to rent your house regardless if you was running your business inside of it anyway. So that is not considered a proper write-off. You cannot write off 100% of your rent. You can write off a portion of your rent for business, but not 100%. Okay. You can write off 50%. You can write off 50% of your utilities. Now, advertising costs, of course, you can do that in full. Mileage for business related travel. Okay. By claiming these deductions, of course, you can lower your tax liability, potentially resulting in a higher refund or lower tax payment, which is always good because that's what we want. We want to lessen our tax liability as much as possible. And so, again, to do so, you would have to file properly. The IRS is, depending on what type of business that you're filing, you did 20,000 miles. So we got to make sure that it makes sense. And I'm a preparer, so if it don't make sense to me, it's not going to make sense to them, right? So, um, 20,000 miles, and you say that you are a hairdresser. Well, typically a hairdresser is stationary, right? You're in one place for the most part, unless you are a mobile hairdresser where you go around to your clients or something like that. But to say that I use 20,000 miles as a hairdresser, that's a red flag. That's a red flag, even to me, right? I'm going to question that and I probably won't even put that on your return. Right. Unless you can give me some sort of documentation or proof that this is the case. Now, let me tell you why I say that. Tax prep is a very risky business. And so when people say, the tax preparer this and that, da, 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 I just want people to understand that we are under as much scrutiny as the taxpayers, right? We can be fined for incorrect returns or knowingly filing improper information. We can be fined and we can lose our business, right? So we want to look at this from all spectrums. Let's protect each other. Yes, we want to maximize our refunds. We want to have as much less tax liability as possible, but we want to do it in a way that it makes sense and a way that is not going to come back to haunt you later on in life. Okay. So again, better to keep books. If you're running a business, it's better to, keep some spreadsheets and things like that. Just keeping up with your business related expenses so that it all makes sense at the end. Okay. Keep your thorough records, receipts, stuff like that. All of that matters. Okay. All right. So again, some things that could possibly be considered a write-off for your business are travel, hotels, mileage, supplies, inventory, use of home, if you're renting a separate office space or rental, utilities, contractor pay, if you're having to, pay some people um, to do some things for you or do some work for you. All of that matters. Okay. Now, if you'd like to take a look at some of the business expenses and deductions per the IRS, they do have a publication that you can visit on the irs.gov website, and it'll give you all the ins and outs of the business expenses and deductions. Alrighty. So again, today we just went over some of the more simple things, which is for business owners mainly that are preparing a Schedule C. I wanted to break down some of the different entities and what different things that you can write off on a Schedule C, how to keep your books, keep thorough books, and being able to know and differentiate where you stand tax wise based on your business structure. I know Schedule C is typically like one of the main topics during tax season outside of, your normal forms, W-2s and things of that nature. Um, but I do know that Schedule C sometimes gets a little confusing for people. So I just wanted to start there. On some of the other videos that I'll be doing for you guys, we'll be discussing some of the more popular tax forms, some things that you may need to look for in your mail before filing your taxes. Um, and the reason I say that is because some people are in a hurry to file their taxes, and I get it. Shucks, if especially if you know you're gonna get you a refund, some people been dealing with some things throughout the whole year or whatever, and that refund could be, something that can help them get over a hump or something. And so I get it. However, not filing an accurate return is gonna hold you up per se. And I've seen it done so many times where, we get in a hurry to file our taxes and we didn't wait for all of our documents and now the IRS is rejecting your return or you're getting letters later on. And it's just stuff that we can avoid by just being a little patient and knowing exactly what documents we're going to be expecting to come to us, right? So you have your W-2. That's the most famous. That's where, your work is recorded. So that's your wage and tax statement. The 1099-G, if you receive any type of unemployment benefits, you're going to be receiving a 1099-G. Okay. Form 1099 NEC as an independent contractor. Some companies will send you these if you've done work for them and they're not filing you as a W-2 employee, but as an independent contractor. You may receive a 1099 NEC, 1099 miscellaneous, right? Now, here is the most popular form that is going down today and has been so since the marketplace insurance went into effect. Form 1095A, the document that most people don't remember if they've signed up on some type of health insurance marketplace or whatever the case may be, and you go to file your taxes and your tax return is rejected. It is going to automatically reject if the system shows your social or anyone on your return is listed in the marketplace for health insurance. That is a form that must be filed. Okay? Must. So if you have health insurance on the marketplace, you definitely need to wait to receive your 1095A. Otherwise, you probably won't see your refund for some months. Okay? So that is definitely something that you want to make sure that you have when you go to file. 1098T, as in Tom, that's the college form, right? If you have a child in college, a student, you're in college. This is a form many people miss for some odd reason. I don't know how or why, because this can help you. Okay. If you're in college, um, there's still different credits that you can get for this. This is a form you'll want to wait for. Okay. This is going to help you, right? So if you have a student in college, wait for the 1098T. Okay. Because let's just say, as an example, that your student, your child, they're in a 4-year institution, college, right? And you can use their form 1098T to file on your taxes to get the credit. Now, let's just say that that student works and they make over 4,300, $5,000. They can still file their own wages. They can still file their own wages. But you, as the parent, can still file their 1098T as a credit on your tax return. So as long as everything is being done properly by your tax preparer, then there should be no issues. Okay. Mom, dad, you can file that 1098T to get that credit. And if they are working and made over a certain amount of money, they can still file themselves and file their wages only. Okay. Hope that made sense to everybody. Now, your 1099R, distribution of retirement benefits. Have you cashed out on any of your retirement benefits early? If you have, you should wait for your 1099R. That is another form that is reported to the IRS. And if it is not on your initial return, you just open up a door for an investigation. Okay. All right. Your 1099K. We spoke about that. Third party merchant account, Cash App. What is the other one called? I think it's oh my goodness, Square. Square, all these third party um accounts, right? That you've set up as a business. Each year you're going to get this, you're going to get a 1099K. It must be filed. It must be filed. Okay. Schedule E, rental properties. Do you own some rental properties? Some things you're renting out. You would need to do a Schedule E. Schedule C, self-employment. We spoke about the Schedule C. That's your self-employment. Okay. So these are some of the most popular tax forms. Of course, there's other things that we can do, things that we can write off and stuff like that. And again, we'll get into that into some different videos. But I just wanted to put this out here, go over some of the Schedule C and then business entities so that we have a clear understanding what the differences are when we are filing our taxes. All right, guys. I will be back in the next week with another course for us to go over some other things in regards to taxes, some of the newer credits, what's going to be happening in 2025, what's new going on for 2024 season coming up here in a couple of months, some things that you can expect. different things of that nature, some of the newer laws that is happening. So there are some things that has not changed for 2024, which is okay, but they do have some different updates and stuff like that for what's going to be coming in for 2025 filing season as well, where you all will be able to maximize on some different things as well. So again, I will be back in a week and get you all some more information. Until then, have a very blessed day, and thank you so much for tuning in.